Hey everybody, Big Fat Dubs here, and welcome back to another episode of Bracketology Fight Night. This one is WWE Hall of Famers male version. I guess is the best way to put it. So this time around, we are taking WWE Hall of Famers, and what we're going to do with this one is, if we were to start a wrestling company, who would we want to be our face? Lead the company.
So this is part one of three of our bracketology WWE segment. So this is the WWE Hall of Famers. We are going to do one that is WWE faction of all time, and then we're going to do a really big WWE one combining legends, current superstars, tag teams, and women's wrestlers. So for those who are wondering. Yes, we are just doing Hall of Famer. That's why you guys will not see people like Triple H, Randy Orton, John Cena. We're just doing people that are in the Hall of Fame. And yes, Triple H technically is a Hall of Famer, but as D Generation X, we are just doing singles wrestlers who have made it into the Hall of Fame. So everyone on this list right now went in not a part of a faction. Some of them, yes, as part of a faction. Ric Flair is one of them. But all these guys here are actually in as their own superstar as well. So just for clarification, so that way people don't understand, don't get mad at the fact of the other guys that we are talking about, the H's, the Cenas, and all that, they will be in with the big bracket under the Legends category.
Also, this one is also based off guys that we have seen mostly. So yeah, you're not gonna. There's no Iron Sheik in here, nor Bruno Sammartino. Those guys that far back. So these are mostly guys that we have seen. Mostly, I've actually seen some clips about more of, or we've even gone back and watched old stuff of them, because how fascinated we were with these guys. So yeah, if you're ever wondering why a certain one isn't in there, that's why, because we're just basing it off of our wrestling fandom time.
And honestly, too, the names on here are the more well-known names in WWE history. Yes, Bruno Sammartino, Roddy Piper, all those guys, have a belonging in the Hall of Fame and everything like that. But this is going to be the more current big name faces.
Yeah. Just to give you guys a little bit more look here at the bottom, too. It's just to get an idea of who you can see on this list. This is what we decided, so.
Yep.
All right. Are we ready to get into this?
Do it.
Like I said, this is based on who do you want to be the face of your company that you are just starting. Up first, we have Texas Rattlesnake himself, Stone Cold Steve Austin, versus, forget his nickname. Sting has a nickname. I forget what it is besides Sting. Anyway, against Sting.
I have no clue.
I know he has a nickname. I'm just not that one, because that's Triple H is the one I'm thinking of. But anyway, what you got there, brother man?
Easy. Stone Cold.
Going with Stone Cold.
Sting is a great Sting is a great person and all that stuff, but he was WCW and everything like that. Stone Cold was the face of wrestling for the longest time, and even to this day, you hear that broken glass. He's the most quotable superstar. The crowd always went nuts for him, whether he was heel, whether he was face. He's had a ton of great matches. He's also the only 3-time Royal Rumble winner. Stone Cold. WWE would not have survived the Attitude Era without Stone Cold.
Yeah, and basically the guy that actually took over for Hulk Hogan after he left to go to WCW.
Well, he gave it a different edge because it wasn't, your prototypical, big muscle man, kind of wrestler. He was a badass. He swore, he flipped you off, he drank beer, and he kicked your ass. So I mean, he There's no question if you think of Mount Rushmore of WWE superstars of all time. There's no question that you cannot leave out Stone Cold.
Agreed. All right, Steve's moving on. Up next, we have Kurt Angle versus The
This one's
Undertaker.
also easy. It's The Undertaker. The Undertaker, for the longest time, just the legacy he
Yeah.
left, and not only in WWE, but you think about his 21 streak, win streak in WrestleMania, unfortunately losing to Brock and Roman, but just the Undertaker is forever the face of professional wrestling. Everyone knows him. You hear the
Yeah.
gong, everyone knows what's going to
He has that
happen.
intimidation look that he's had forever,
Yep.
even when he was the American Badass.
Yeah.
Also, you got to remember, too, a little history for you guys. Before Mark Galloway became officially The Undertaker, he actually was kind of becoming like a little bit of a cruiserweight for a big guy. From what I hear, he was actually quite athletic as a big guy. But no, they actually had him convert to be that more bigger, stronger, intimidating guy.
Yep.
So I kind of would. It makes you wonder if he would have stuck with that. We do see some of that athleticism from Undertaker. Walking on the top rope or flying out of the ring. And there's that. Kurt Angle though, nothing against him. Nothing against Kurt. Has had a very great career. Obviously, gold medalist in wrestling with the broken neck story and all that.
Well overplayed.
It's just really very well overplayed.
I'm sorry. It's a great achievement. You want a gold medal with a broken fucking neck, but like we know it. We don't need to hear it 50 billion goddamn.
But I will say this about Kurt: he did play his roles very well in his time in wrestling, whether face or heel, even GM. Yeah, trainer. I hear nothing but good things about him. Guy was actually a very balanced person. He had strength, he had speed, very, of course, technical wrestler and grappler and all that. But I'm sorry if I Undertaker, I'm taking Kurt. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Up next, we have Goldberg versus the Nature Boy Ric Flair.
This one's also easy. It's Ric Flair. I mean,
Really?
Goldberg's just a guy who comes in and is big. And Goldberg only knows two fucking moves.
You know what? Actually, you make a good point because you want somebody that's going to entertain. Remember, you are here to entertain, and that's something Flair could do.
Flair you also got to think. You can't just think about who's going to be the best. You got to think of as professional wrestling. You got to have the athleticism skills. You got to have the toughness skill. You also got to have the mic skill. And Goldberg, if you ever listen to him on the mic, just played more of the "I'm gonna beat your ass" mentality. Flair, the thing is, and again too, Undertaker doesn't have good mic skills, but Undertaker's the guy I can have come in, beat the shit out of someone, and call it a day. Why do I need another one in Goldberg? You know, I gotta have guys who are gonna fucking get the crowd going with the mic. And honestly, Flair is one of the best ones.
And I'm sorry, you started one of the things that is pretty much almost worldwide now with the woo.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't just see that at wrestling events. You see that at sporting events, concerts.
Oh yeah.
Shoot, even people just randomly do it out in the public, and everybody knows what it is from, what it is. So it's funny because I was leaning toward Goldberg, but then it made me realize, you know what, Flair.
There's more to bring out in Flair than it is Goldberg.
Because, like you said, you got to also have the mic skills plus the wrestling, and all that.
Because I'm thinking right now of who we have building a company. I already got a guy who's doesn't need mic skills to beat someone's ass. It's the Undertaker. Next up, we have the Rated R Superstar Edge versus Rob Van Dam. Mostly, a lot of his start was from ECW. Yep. I still got to go Edge because Edge really brought that extreme level of wrestling. He also has great mic skill.
Oh, yeah.
And Rob, there's nothing wrong with Rob Van Dam, but Edge just brings out a lot more to the table, in my opinion.
I'm sorry, Edge, when he would get pissed off, the whole grabbing the hair back and the wide eyes look is just so funny.
Yeah. Edge is entertaining in all levels.
But I'm going to say this about Edge. Back when I first started watching, and then early 2000s, Edge actually really made, when he turned heel, he was actually a guy that really made me dislike him. And if a wrestler can really make you dislike them, that they're doing their job, and that is just great.
Again, Rob Van Dam, I don't know I know he's an extreme wrestler and his
Rob Van Dam, very athletic guy. Very athletic. I think he's so on the mic, but he's definitely a guy who let his actions talk louder than his words. But he is more for performance. I mean, you throw him out there to put on a show, except some mic skills. But Edge had it all.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like I said, it wasn't until later I actually became an Edge fan.
Yeah.
Because I both hated him and I loved him. RVD, you just watched him to see what he was going to do, next.
Yeah. So Edge moves on.
Okay. Up next, we have one of my personal favorites from back then, Eddie Guerrero versus Booker T.
It's Eddie. It's hands down. It's Eddie Guerrero. Eddie brought a whole different level of wrestling in. He also really stood for something, especially he brought that great heel mentality. He brought the excitement of the trickery. The whole chair thing,
the whole lie, cheating, stealing philosophy.
And he was he really stood well to the Latino community in professional wrestling, and he was such an icon. And unfortunately, his life ended so soon.
Yeah.
And what more he could have done, and nothing against Booker T, but really Eddie was the person that, again, he got crowds going. You heard him come out.
He was a crowd pleaser. He was a crowd pleaser by far.
Yeah.
I mean, people back then were always watching, what did Eddie have up his sleeve again to steal a match? The guy, like you said, crowd pleaser, got the place going all the time.
Yep.
Lovable man, also. Very lovable man.
Yeah.
And you need that. Like I said, when you're starting your injury, you need somebody to captivate.
You have to put on a show on multiple different levels. You have to have people on your roster that are going to perform in many. It's a performance. It's all a performance. But you have to have people that can mic. You can have people with their action. And again, I love Booker T. Booker is an amazing wrestler. And he had a great career in WCW. That's where you hear the five-time, and everything like that. But Eddie, in an era, and that's the thing, though, is Eddie in the era that was Stone Cold, that was The Rock, that was Triple H, The Undertaker, Eddie still stood out. And so and most people might not have even thought of Eddie Guerrero as that aspect, looking at him and everything like that. So, but if you can succeed in an era where you are in competition to some of the greatest of all time, you alone get that pass into the next round.
From what I remember watching Booker T back then, obviously Booker had great mic skills. He actually really did have good mic skills, but his wrestling moves were very limited. He mostly did chops and kicks. That's mostly what he did.
Yeah.
All the time. Because, he played to the power of his leg strength. And like I said, it was very basic for him. But definitely, great guy in the mic, but so on his wrestling move.
Yep.
But, anyway, moving on. Okay, this is a great matchup. Macho Man Randy Savage versus the immortal Hulk Hogan.
Randy Savage. Randy brought so much to the game on a wrestling aspect, on a mic aspect, where Hogan is just all muscle. and
He was just the pretty boy. He was the tall, muscular, pretty boy that
he doesn't have mic skills. He doesn't have good mic skills at all.
I mean, his whole thing was Hulkamania rules, and
and it's not saying that because if we're and that's the thing is people could say like, oh well, he's what John Cena was. John Cena can get a crowd going on any aspect, on either doing his catchphrases or on a promo. Hogan doesn't have a fucking promo to save his life. Hogan's the guy that is the person that just like, oh, eat your vitamins and blah blah blah. He actually is also not a great wrestler. He's just, I'm gonna lift you up and throw you down. Randy Savage could jump off. His finisher was the fucking elbow drop from the top rope. He brought more to the game, and you know what?
That voice.
The whole oh yeah,
Yeah, that deep voice.
That raspiness, that
don't do that.
The catchphrases, like, the main one is what you gonna do, brother, when Hulkamania, wants riled on you. And but there's more quotable from Randy Savage, even to his Slim Jim one, even to him in Bonesaw and Spider-Man. Like, there's more
people still dress up as him.
Exactly. There's more to be said about Randy than Hogan. Hogan's the guy that Vince, he's the typical guy that Vince wanted. And there are some of those guys that actually still work out and everything like that. In my opinion, Cena's one of those guys that it's like, okay, this is Vince's boy. I can see why. Hogan is not so much. Hogan survived in an era where it was Andre the Giant, stuff like that. So Randy Savage moves on, better stories and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. All right, up next we have the opposites. Really, we have Big Red Monster Kane versus Hardcore Mick Foley.
This one's actually kind of.
Either you take the stunt man or you take pretty much the deep here.
I actually got to go with Mick Foley. Because here's the reason why.
He is an entertainer.
Because here's the reason why. You need an underdog. Mick Foley is your underdog. Mick Foley is the guy that no one Mick Foley's the guy that when he won his WWE championship, his World Heavyweight Championship, no one expected it. No one expected it to happen. He was the guy that no one wanted to win. He was the punching dummy for The Undertaker, for all these guys. You have to have that person that, and again, why would I move Kane if I have The Undertaker? Right. It's literally the same person. Just one comes out with a gong and lightning, and the other one comes out with fire and church music. Mick Foley brings that, because Mick also, what he does is, for guys like me, I'll say for me, fat guys, we ain't gonna fit the prototypical. Mick brought that. You can be crazy, you can be big. You don't have to be the prototypical guy to get the love. And he has 3 gimmicks. He has Cactus Jack, Mankind, and Dude Love.
Yep.
And they were all entertaining. Mick brought an entertainment, and Kane really didn't speak that often. Kane is another one that didn't have great mic skills.
In his early part of his career, no.
He brought like great, buried alive matches. He brought in great Inferno matches. But again, Mick's one of those guys that if you said, hey, we're doing an Extreme Rules match, you didn't know what the fuck was going to happen. It was always entertaining. I think Mick Foley was probably one of the first people that brought the crowd to say, holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Especially that Undertaker Mick Foley Hell in a Cell match.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, now if you know this, none of that stuff was planned where Mick was thrown off, the top of the cell, or even thrown through that. That was not even part of that whole match script at all.
But he took it and went with it. That's the thing.
As wrestlers need to do at times when something doesn't go right.
But in longevity in his career, he said, you know what? We're going to roll with it. That's going to be my thing.
And it's still one of the most highlighted matches, today.
So Mick Foley moves on. Next matchup, we have a very classic matchup.
I didn't realize this lined up.
We have Bret the Hitman Hart versus Shawn Michaels. And most famous, they have one of the most famous matches, and it was the Montreal Screwjob, where there was an issue with Bret Hart, and
With
they went for a very quick pin count, and then Shawn Michaels had won, ultimately causing Bret Hart to lose his absolute trust in the company. I think he was actually on the way out anyway.
He was looking for a better deal at the time, and it was pretty much because he was actually leaving. He was actually threatening Vince to leave because you know he was there. They were grooming him to be the next face, and that's what he did was during that match. Is that you know what? You're gonna leave then? Well, fuck you. Then I'm gonna screw you out of here in front of all your fans and all that shit.
I still think
Sean had no idea that was gonna happen. There's even a little video out there that Brett's asking him in the locker room, "Do you have any idea?" Sean says, "There's no fucking way. I knew nothing. Fucking way. I knew nothing." But anyway, these guys have actually set that whole thing aside, because it wasn't a hatred or anything between them. It was something that was from the inside of the company. But anyway, we're not here to look at that. We're here to look at these guys, see who we want to move forward with.
Shawn Michaels, career-wise, Shawn Michaels. Mr. WrestleMania, all the factions he's been a part of, the matches he's had with The Undertaker, with Triple H, all that stuff. Shawn knew how to put on a show on multiple different levels. There's no question Shawn Michaels.
I think if that screw job thing didn't happen, it would be different. His career would have been different. I think that broke some confidence in him. But I was actually leaning toward Bret for this. Because he was supposed to be the face. Was, becoming a heavy favorite, but Shawn just came in with that whole heartthrob guy and ran with it, and has one of the more catchy theme songs and funny ass motherfucker too, especially with DX.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go with the Heartbreak Kid. All right, first round in the books, folks. All right, semifinals, right?
No, quarterfinals.
Quarterfinals, then semi.
Yep, and then final.
I always think the finals are always like the last two, then
and
then the champion.
Yeah, so finals, semifinals, quarterfinals.
Yeah. All right, up first we have a classic here with Stone Cold versus The Undertaker.
This one can go either way, and unfortunately my phone is about to die, so I can't do the wheel. So we have to just. But
we'll just do it.
I'm willing to win this one. If you say the opposite of me, you will get just decked in the face right now. For me, it's Stone Cold. Because again, The Undertaker brought a lot to the company and everything like that. And his actions were the reason why he was more well-known and well-loved, is his actions and everything like that. But again, as a company, as a full performer, Stone Cold was one of the very best to do it.
Yes.
There's no question that if I'm talking about who's the best wrestler overall, in every aspect, the promos, the rivalries, the performance, the telling a great story and everything like that, it's no question it's Stone Cold. Because for the longest time too, you thought the Undertaker, WrestleMania season, you knew Undertaker was going to win. Look, you think Batista was going to beat him? You think all these guys? No. They always made it so that Undertaker was always the dominant factor. Stone Cold, some of the greatest, you got to talk about the greatest rivalry in professional wrestling. Stone Cold and The Rock.
Yep.
You got to think about his rivalry with Vince McMahon, with Triple H, all these guys. There is no one better. I mean, he even came back last WrestleMania and fought Kevin Owens.
Yep.
And it was still amazing. The crowd went nuts. Stone Cold is legitimately what professional wrestling is all about.
Not only did in that match last year did he bring back wrestlers back from that Attitude Era, WWF. But then he also got the attention of the newer generations as well.
Yeah.
You know, kids being able to see this guy for the first time out there and being able to, yeah, hear that glass break, come on out and just see this guy.
No matter what, you hear the glass break, everyone loses your shit. And you also have to, again, the most quotable wrestler in the history. Everyone knows Austin 316. Everyone knows that if you end it with fucking, and that's the bottom line because Stone Cold says so. You know, you have the most iconic thing he does when he gets the beer, he smacks it and everything like that. And also, too, you're talking about two guys with the two most legendary finishers of all time, the Tombstone Piledriver and the Stunner. But honestly, the most, mimicked one is the Stunner. Everyone loves the Stunner. So in all aspects, Stone Cold wins.
Fair enough, because like you said, Undertaker, your whole thing was just literally be tall and intimidating.
Yeah.
Tall and intimidating. Yes, you had that deep voice too as well. I love you very much as a guy because you captured me early on as well. But it's Stone fucking Cold. It is Stone. It is Stone Cold. The guy, like Ryan just pretty much read his whole resume off. Just the guy could do it all. The guy could do it all. I mean,
there's no one that can do it better.
I mean, yeah.
Cena could probably do. Cena could be an argument to do it better as well as The Rock. But there's a very strong case that when you do Stone Cold, The Rock, and Cena, there's an argument right there of who could do it better. Because in my opinion, those three, there's no one that can do it. In all aspects of wrestling, there's no one that can do it better. And honestly, too, Cena might beat out Stone Cold in my opinion because Cena was more willing to actually push more talent through,
right,
than Stone Cold.
I think there comes a time because we've been talking about it too at times, like especially like with Seth Rollins and The Miz right now. Mm-hmm. They are veteran guys that are still in the company, still doing this full time, and realizing that their time can almost be up anytime, and so now they're having to help the newer talent get more publicity, get them in bigger matches and stuff like that now. And Cena, started to do that from what I could tell, because after the 2009 year, I kind of fell out, but Ryan picked up after that and got to see more of that stuff. So I guess that's kind of what happened. He kind of helped promote guys like Roman,
Kevin Owens. Cena still had his moment where he would still win and everything like that, and bury some talent. But then again, too, it wasn't like it was just for story. But and that's a good point too. A guy that, in my mind, in the current roster, who belongs in the top 4 of what he said, The Rock, Stone Cold, Cena, of performers, entertainers, mic drop, and willing to do whatever it does best for the company. I'm sorry, and I'm a huge Roman Reigns fan, but there's no doubt about it. I'm also a bigger Seth Rollins fan because, again, Seth is that person who does what he can for the company in every aspect. I mean, for fuck's sake, he's lost to Kevin Owens, Cesaro, and Cody Rhodes in WrestleMania. And last year, he lost to Cody Rhodes 3 times. He's lost to Austin Theory. He's lost to The Fiend. He's not won a whole lot because he's pushing these talents to actually do. And again, that's something that just plays in the factor when we get into those.
Right.
So moving on to this bracket and everything like that, we are talking about Edge versus Ric Flair. And I'm going to give the edge to Edge.
Edge. I was actually thinking the same thing.
Because again, because mic skill wise, they're very similar. You may say that Flair could do a little bit better, but here's my big thing. And again, this could be just era and everything that could be a part of it. Edge beats out Flair as a wrestler because Flair has had extreme moments and has, but Flair was that guy that he needed to win. He always had to be the winner. In my opinion, Flair had to be the winner. Flair always did. Okay?
You're not gonna.
That's me.
Okay.
my hand's doing it.
Okay.
It'd be a louder knock if it was.
Okay.
Um,
Some people do like light knocks on a door.
Yeah.
You can like barely hear it sometimes.
but so in my mind, Edge was a full better wrestler and performer. He gave you great mic skills. He gave you hardcore matches. I mean, he's got one of the most iconic WrestleMania moments, spearing Jeff Hardy off the fucking ladder. So you get more out of Edge than Ric Flair, in my opinion.
Okay, real quick, everybody, I need to ask Ryan something real quick. I'm gonna mute the micro here real quick. Anyway, sorry guys. Yeah, Edge definitely moving on. The guy had it all. He had the ups, he had the downs.
Yep.
Perfect heel, perfect face. At times, especially even like right now, he's with his face run. Flair, I always consider heel because the dirtiest player in the game.
Yeah.
He always had like one side to me. He never really had a face. He had very few like slim face.
He was also a very selfish person.
Yeah, that as well.
So next matchup, we're gonna do Eddie Guerrero versus Randy Savage. I think this one's actually pretty easy. Again, as an overall full thing, Eddie Guerrero. He started the whole, scandal of finding ways to cheat to win. With the chair, with all that stuff. Great mic skills and just a huge fan favorite. I think Eddie takes this up against.
Yeah,
Savage.
I gotta go with Eddie over Randy. I mean, obviously Randy was definitely got the crowd going and all that stuff, and great in ring performer. But Eddie, people came to watch what Eddie was going to do in the ring all the time. Eddie not only had cruiserweight with his luchador background, but he actually was pretty strong. I mean, if you look at his build, his upper build, that is pretty muscular for a guy his size, and he actually had some strength. The guy was very well balanced in everything. And God, when he finally won the big championship at WrestleMania, that just captivated him so much. Especially for the fan audience.
Well, you think too, like his matchup against Brock Lesnar and beating Brock and everything like that was huge. That was really huge for the crowd pop and everything like that. And I can't think of the only time, and Randy Savage has probably had a few. But in reality, the most that he's ever got a big pop for is when he proposed to Miss Elizabeth. Eddie, when he wins a championship, the crowd goes.
I'll get it.
You go ahead and start the next one.
Nope, I can actually pause this one. Okay. Sorry, guys, we had to pause that for a minute there. Had somebody stop by. But we are back. And we just finished talking about Eddie. Being a guy, moving on past Randy. So up next we have Mick Foley versus Shawn Michaels.
Shawn. All different levels.
Shawn could do it.
Shawn could also be the underdog too.
He could also be the underdog because there was times that they used his size in matches against his chances of.
Shawn has the more memorable moments in all aspects. And Shawn, like we talked about, he could be the underdog, he could be extreme, he could do all these things. And again, I love Mick, but thinking about you're trying to build the best show, and the better show would have been with Shawn.
Yeah, if you're looking at that. Mick would be one you bring in later.
Yeah.
Down the road. Obviously, any of these guys, as you go backwards, would probably be our guys that we'd bring in next after we get to our final one.
Yeah.
All right. Getting down to our last two now, guys. What do you guys think so far? Let us know. So, right now, Stone Cold versus Edge. I gotta say, it's probably gonna end up being Stone Cold again.
It's not. It's probably gonna. It's going to be There's 100% guarantee.
I like both of them. That's the thing.
I like both of them too, but again,
especially after Edge has come back,
you gotta find the face of your show.
Yeah,
and there's no better face in the show. I love Edge, but there's no better face.
Yeah. Yeah, I think. I'm sorry, but I think the Texas Rattlesnake's gonna have to triumph over the Radar Superstar.
Yeah.
Obviously, both guys have phenomenal careers, all with WWE. Edge, especially now coming back after 7 years off his neck injury, still trying to do it. Like I said, Stone Cold coming out of retirement for a match. But if Stone Cold was even remotely still going right now, he would still be killing it.
Yeah, there's no question.
It is Stone Cold Steve Austin. We just got to get his beer ordered and delivered here. All right. I already know who my guy is for this Eddie versus Shawn. It's Eddie. It's Eddie for me. I love Eddie Guerrero. As we've said many times, Cloud Preaser. People come to watch what he does. The guy would drive a freaking lowrider out to the ring almost every time. And he had all these custom cars. Gear was always flashy. Yeah, I mean, that's mine.
Here's why I picked Shawn. In all aspects of the game, Shawn, in my mind, succeeds over Eddie. Eddie is a great underdog, and he's also a great heel. You know, and he has his moments as a good face as well. He has his moments as a good face. But Shawn, on all levels, surpasses that. He has his moments as a heel where he has really gotten the crowd on against him. You know, he kind of took the Montreal Screwjob and ran with it, you know, and, you know, used that to be one of the most hated people in WWE. He's also plenty of times been the face and really has had the crowd behind his back through every storyline he's done. You think of Shawn as a tag team member, part of the Rockers, part of D-Generation X, working with so many different wrestlers and creating such magical stories, some great storylines. You know, you think about Shawn and all his WrestleMania matches and the stories that he's told in all those, especially The Undertaker. You know, one that brings up to my mind is streak versus career and what Shawn did and everyone that he kind of, you know, the amount of shit that he went through and what he was willing to put on the line for the chance to beat The Undertaker. And this was nothing on the line like a championship or anything like that. This was literally, I need to beat you. Shawn brought it, and there's nothing against Eddie Guerrero. I'm never going to say anything bad about Eddie Guerrero. But as someone who I can trust to run a story in any way that I can, Shawn is that guy that I can actually say, Shawn, you're heel. He'll go and kill it. Shawn, your face. You're going to go kill it. There's a point where Shawn can work with anybody on this that we have on this roster. And in any aspect, he will take the fall if he needed to, say against a guy like Goldberg. He'll make Goldberg look so good that we actually would move Goldberg on.
Yep.
You would think that one of the most memorable moments is when he retired Ric Flair, and that moment where he told Rick he loved him. A storyline that Ric Flair was way past his fucking prime, and yet he put on a great show, ended Ric Flair's career, but still made him look so good. In every aspect, Shawn can make anybody here either push them through like none other or go on top of them, but still tell a great story that you think back, damn, I love that rivalry of Shawn Michaels.
Yeah. Eddie was kind of getting to that point too, especially after he lost his WWE title, especially with Ray, helping build Ray up a bit more. My biggest one that I remember too is when they were trying to do this whole pit Eddie versus Batista thing, put them together because that's when Batista first won his first big title, and Eddie was kind of helping him prolong with that. So unfortunately, he ended up passing away during that time. But it would have been interesting to see how that storyline came out with those two back then. Honestly, I think we can both agree that any of these guys would have helped anybody's career.
Exactly. This is a hard one because again, one of us has to. We have to just say it. We have to just give it because I don't have my phone. We don't have the wheel.
I mean, we do rock paper scissors.
I mean, I would like to hear more of an argument of you about why Eddie is better than Shawn. Because what I got out of your argument though is more of your personal love for him.
Yeah.
I want to hear more about like why you seriously think in every aspect Eddie is better than Shawn.
I think he's a better overall wrestler in every aspect than Shawn.
Okay.
Wrestling wise, yes. Mic skills, I'd say they're almost about the same. I think Eddie could actually outdo Shawn in a performance.
In a straight performance.
Mostly because of his luchador background, because he has that. Shawn does have athleticism. Don't get me wrong. He does. But I definitely think Eddie could bring a better show, make people put butts in the seats than Shawn. I mean, it's... If I probably would have said more earlier in their careers, I probably would have more to add, but I'm going off of from literally, and then when I first started watching until the last bit of at least with Shawn that I saw.
So here's a question: what is Eddie Guerrero's finish?
The frog splash.
Okay.
Or technically it has two.
What's the other one?
It's pretty much a sharpshooter. It's called the El Paso, Texas something. It's where he gets him in like Rhea's.
So it's a submission move. Okay, so we're taking frog splash. Okay,
but that was always his main one.
That was his main one. Was a frog splash. So the reason why I asked that is because that's a good point because I want to talk about let's talk about that. Who had the more memorable one? Both finishers have been mimicked so much.
Oh yeah.
There are a lot of people that use the frog splash, because of Eddie Guerrero. Yeah. There are a lot of people that use the super kick because of Shawn, but no one does the tune-up of the band and
the super kick has just become the common thing nowadays.
But so is frog splash.
But yeah, so is frog splash.
But and that's so there's that factor. So they're pretty even. My opinion, you can be obviously different. I'd give mine more of what is going to get the crowd riled up more. And when you saw him tune up the band, the crowd got nuts. Yep. Not saying, and nothing against the frog splash, but I that's where I'm going with on that is.
Well, you could also say, he's tuned up the band, but Eddie also had his slap and his.
No, and that's where I want you to kind of argue with me about what.
But that's what I'm saying. The more we keep talking about, the more similarities these guys have. Because
one of us just has to succeed. One of us just has, and if we can't do it, then we'll go rock paper scissors.
I'd rather just do the rock paper scissors at this point.
Come on now, don't quit on me now. Don't quit on me now. Don't you quit on me.
Because I can't give up on Eddie.
No, I'm willing to.
If this was, if we could move both these on, that'd be a great triple threat match for this last one.
I'm willing to. And I'll say this right now. I'm willing to almost give you that edge if you can find me one point that really does put Eddie over Shawn. Because they're so similar I can't rely on.
I would have to go back and look. I would have to honestly go back and look.
So I'm gonna do you a favor.
You know what? I'll just give you Shawn.
No. You gotta let me finish, please.
All right, cool. Come on.
But don't get snippy with me.
Well, come on.
Don't get snippy with me. Okay? I'm giving you Eddie because there is one point that I wish you would have brought up. It is the championship. that matter. It's the fact that when Eddie won it, there was more love for the crowd.
Oh yeah,
than Shawn.
More emotional.
That's where I was kind of hoping you would bring that argument, because when Eddie won it against Brock, there was so much love for that. And you think about when Chris Benoit came out and all that, there was so much about that was more than Shawn's. Hoping you would have brought that up, then I would have succeeded.
I could have, I guess, but I really wasn't trying to bring like championships into it.
No, it's not so much like overall reigns the championship. I was wanting that one moment where you would just said, think about when he won this championship and how much like the emotions played in for it. Because guess what? I can't think of a single one of Shawn's. I can't think. Shawn's moment would have been the Undertaker versus him and Undertaker one, but that's not for a championship.
Yeah, the only championship I even got to see Shawn win was a tag team one.
Exactly,
with like John Cena and
somebody else. I'm willing to succeed to Eddie because of the moment of the championship. Because again, Shawn's memorable moments were WrestleMania matches that had nothing to do with the title. So I was just hoping for a good argument and for you to bring up that point.
Sorry, I didn't bring it up then.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to give you Eddie, because Eddie, in the sense of they are very much the same, but thinking about his championship, and another good storyline that I wish you would have brought up is the Ray Eddie fight for Dominic.
No, I didn't want to bring that up because I did not like that between the two. I thought that was kind of ridiculous, in my opinion.
But it actually was a good story. Because, again,
it was good.
It showed how evil...
Yeah.
Because that pushed Ray. That really helped push Ray Mysterio.
It did. I mean, we got to see, of course, another Eddie heel back then, trying to get under the skin of somebody far and go so far as to say, that is actually my adopted son that I gave you guys because you guys couldn't have kids, but now I want him back.
Yeah. So it's those reasons alone why I do want Eddie to win. Because Shawn has those really great moments, and Shawn is one of the greatest, but there are some key things that Eddie has done that does surpass. So I am actually going to step down from Shawn and say Eddie Guerrero moves on.
All right. I'll do my best to come up with a better argument next time.
That's what it's all about, baby. That's what it's all about. Like I said, we can get a little snippy with each other, but we know it's out of.
Oh yeah. All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're down to our final two.
And the winner is Stone Cold Steve Austin.
It was going to be.
You are not. I helped you with Eddie Guerrero, but you.
I know.
Because I will literally fight you on this one. I helped you with Eddie Guerrero on that. Stone Cold on every aspect whoops the shit out of him.
Oh yeah.
And again, I think it's the most fair.
Yes, I believe it. It is the most fair out of all that. Like we've said, we've been, telling you guys these guys' resumes from the very beginning. You've heard us, but like I said, Stone Cold just captured the whole wrestling world with what he does, not giving a shit about anybody, kicking your ass,
he broke
when
the
he
protocol.
Needed to, he broke the protocol. Like you said, pretty much Vince let him, let him be whatever because it was bringing in, high ratings. It was bringing in money.
It brought in merchandise. It brought in
You got to remember, this is entertainment. Not for wins and losses. And
now, I'll say this. Eddie does beat Stone Cold on one thing. Pure athleticism.
Oh, yeah.
Eddie was an athletic wrestler compared to Stone Cold. Because Stone Cold was the guy who's just going to come in and punch you, kick you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember really Stone Cold powerbombing people.
Yeah. Well, also, if you look, too, you have Eddie. Family history is wrestling, luchador wrestling. Stone Cold's just a guy from Texas who was on a farm that, thought this was really cool to do. And didn't realize that, later on, all of a sudden he'd be It's
But
big.
so you talked about resumes, and we talked about that, and I'm going to make a one strong point. The Attitude Era resume, it starts and ends.
100%. 100%.
All the storylines, there was plenty of storylines that you could have done, and The Rock is very close. But the resume of the Attitude Era in wrestling lives and breathes through Stone Cold, in my opinion. If you had to pick one, because I don't think they succeed as much and actually take down WCW without Stone Cold Steve. I don't think The Rock alone would have carried them over. Because The Rock, as entertaining as he was, he also wasn't that great of a wrestler.
He was the one too that, like I had said, like Booker T had very select moves.
Yeah.
That, he just did a few moves like this and then got to his signature stuff where, he rock bottomed you right in the middle and set you up for the people's elbow.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he did some punching. I don't really remember him doing much kicking besides the traditional gut kick.
He did the gut kick, and he would do power bombs and clotheslines and stuff like that. And yeah, Stone Cold, he was more of that brawler. Stone Cold actually really set the tone for the brawler type of wrestler.
Yes.
And you could say Roddy Rod Piper and all that shit, but really, you think of brawler, you think of all the categories and all the different wrestlers, and you think of brawlers. It's Stone Cold. Stone Cold is literally the brawler of WWE.
Oh yeah.
And there's no question. Eddie is one of the most deserving. And you know what? Maybe Eddie would have won had he not passed away. We
got to see more of that career. Yeah.
Yeah, we unfortunately lost him too soon to know if he was actually going to be that good. But then again, Stone Cold didn't even have to be involved personally. Think about the McFoley match, right? It was a great match and everyone was hyped up as it is. But the minute you heard Stone Cold's thing, everyone lost their shit. And then it boosted that win for Mick Foley up more because Stone Cold got involved.
Right.
So there's no question in mind that the winner of this WWE Hall of Fame matchup, it belongs to one man and one man only. And regardless of the future when, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, John Cena, Randy Orton, Triple H, all these wrestlers that are not in the WWE Hall of Fame, there's still no question. It's Stone Cold. Stone Cold will go down as the greatest of all time.
Yes, 100%.
Now there will be a different person to face him in the final if the bracket works out.
Yeah,
because I'm sorry, it is not it.
No.
The minute John Cena gets in there, he will be the second greatest person.
If John Cena was on this other, on the other 8 here, oh yeah, you're seeing literally his line
go all the way
across against Stone Cold. No, sorry.
I would like to argue that though with you though when the time comes, Stone Cold versus, because that would be a great argument to be made about who is the greatest.
But see, then that would be, but then you gotta bring in obviously then we would have to bring in the championship stuff in that one.
Well, the thing that the thing that almost puts him over, that you can make for an argument either one about who it would be, Stone Cold as Stone Cold. Cena, Doctor of Thugonomics, or the champ. Go with either one. But then that's a great argument for Stone Cold because Stone Cold didn't have to change his persona.
Yeah.
Yes, he was the stunning Steve Austin early in his career, but we're talking just Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Right.
We talk John Cena, we are talking the Doctor of Thugonomics, and we're also talking the champ.
I mean, you just take out the Doctor of Thugonomics alone, the whole champ persona can rival Stone Cold easily.
Exactly. But does having the run as the Doctor of Thugonomics, does that put him over? That's a good question.
It was Doctor of Thugonomics versus Stone Cold. Then no.
No, absolutely not. No, we just did Doctor of Thugonomics versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Oh, yeah. No comparison. No. I'm just saying putting those two eras of Cena together. And
okay. Yeah.
Against Stone Cold.
Yeah.
Because honestly, you got to give credit to the Doctor of Thugonomics because that's what saved his career. Because again, Stone Cold Steve Austin saved Steve Austin's career Because again, he was stunning Steve Austin. That's almost like Triple H.
Yeah.
There was Triple H, and then there was also Hunter Hemsley.
Hunter Herms Hemsley.
Whatever. Thank God he changed his goddamn name.
I mean, Stone Cold took the risk of shaving his head.
Yeah.
I mean, he actually had the full long blonde hair.
Yeah. And then drink beer on television and
yeah.
flip everybody off and start the boss. So it'll be a great matchup when you're like, and Kelly, this was a great matchup. I know there was a little thing about Sean and blah 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 and all that stuff.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah. Don't worry, I'm not gonna punch him or anything like that. So this is the point of the brackets and everything like that is debates. It's all about debates and everything.
I think honestly that Eddie and Sean one was probably our
it's the only time we ever got
really tried to get more deep into it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got into because, like I said, I really wasn't bringing championships into it. I was just looking at career wise, and I've minus that.
Yeah, but it's again too like finding those good arguments. That's like what succeeds it over the other, and again that's just something that we don't usually do because we usually have the wheel and we just let the wheels talk. So sometimes we gotta make the arguments.
Yeah, well, like God damn, I cannot talk right.
Words.
Right, they're hard for very much today. Like you even said, whether it was Eddie, Sean, Randy, Mick, moving on, Stone Cold was gonna win the whole thing.
Stone Cold was gonna win. There was no question.
Oh yeah, Stone Cold. If I had taken Stone Cold out of this, Undertaker maybe versus Sean in the finals, I would probably have that.
For me personally, though, yes, I said move Eddie on and everything like that. I think the top three. I'll go top three. It goes Stone Cold Steve Austin as 1, Shawn Michaels 2, Undertaker 3. Because I'm not on the Undertaker fan base as strong as everybody else because he can't mic worth a shit. Even back in the day, he couldn't mic worth a shit.
That's why Paul Bearer did it for him.
That's why Paul Bearer did it. That's why the only thing he ever said was rest in peace. And he had some good promo and all that stuff, but again, it was more so, I'm going to beat you. Gotta put the promo. Gotta add promo. Add the promo.
But that was just the way his character was. So
I know, but but to me that doesn't push me any. Because again, I like Goldberg, and as a person, I'd pick Goldberg over Ric Flair because I absolutely hate Ric Flair. But Goldberg's the guy that just comes in, spears people, jackhammers them, and just I'm going to beat you. Who's next? Blah, blah, blah. Flair's at least dumb enough to actually talk on a mic and sound like he's got a fucking peanut butter in his mouth half the time. I was like, I'm the grind, woo! Sounds like he's got a full dick and balls in his mouth. I'm sorry. Let's listen to him. He sounds like it. He sounds like the alcohol and drugs have finally caught up to him.
He was definitely the loud talker type. The guy who wanted to get his point across by talking more loudly over you. Yeah. Like force it upon you.
Probably snorted cocaine before every goddamn thing.
Probably. All right. Stone Cold, winner. Rightfully so.
Stone Cold, Stone Cold, Stone Cold, Stone Cold. We had to do a Jim Ross, mimic of that.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's
classic.
That's a classic Stone Cold thing is Jim Ross.
Yeah. I mean, you could do that or Stunner! But, yeah. I enjoyed this very much.
I do too.
Like I said, there are probably questions of some we should put on here, but that's what we went with.
Well, again, too, this is part 1 of 3 of WWE brackets that we will be doing. Again, this is the Hall of Famers. The next one we'll do is either the full roster or we'll do the factions. To clarify with the faction and why they're not part of the main one, and when we say tag team, we're basing the tag team one off a tag team champion. So for anyone that has questioned, faction is going to be more so a group more than 2 people. Because a faction was more than 2 people. Like, let's be real. Like you weren't thinking like the Usos were a faction. You thought of them as a tag team. The faction is usually 3 to 4 to more members,
Right.
and we're going to talk about the careers of the factions as a whole. So, an example, bringing up the Bloodline. The current Bloodline roster, which is Roman Reigns, the Usos, and Solo Sikoa. Thinking about the fact that the Usos and Roman Reigns are champions. We talk about Evolution, one of the first ones to actually hold all the titles at once. The Shield, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose. We'll even bring in a team that I think actually deserves it is the Undisputed Era, who did it in NXT.
I was actually just gonna say that
Yeah,
too,
the
but
NXT, and that one's gonna have we'll see multiple because again, we were talking about not putting one person in multiple ones, but in the justice of the faction, you are going to see Triple H in both Evolution and in the Generation X because again, you're taking the best of the best, and Evolution and Degeneration X are two of the greatest factions to ever exist.
I wouldn't say like, especially because he's been in multiple ones. I wouldn't include the Authority like what he's in. That one he was just kind of like running stuff right from behind.
No, that was a little different. He wrestled a little bit.
That's what I'm saying, but he wasn't like the main guy in that group that did wrestle because he just told him what to do.
It's hard to say and the putting on the main parts. That's hard to put it as the main part because the main wrestler was more Seth Rollins,
right?
But he was the main person because he led that group. That's a discussion we'll get in whether or not we want to put it on there. I wasn't going to put the Authority on there because
no, I'm just saying as an example.
Yeah.
Where he had like a smaller role with a group, we probably won't put him in there.
Yeah, but we're just saying like as a faction of success.
Yes.
It's gonna we'll see a couple guys on there multiple times. And again, it's just based on who because again, Roman Reigns will both be on the Bloodline and in the Shield. It's just one of those things that's gonna happen. So we'll get all that rolling and everything like that, and then the Legends one or the WWE full one. There are going to be 4 brackets, and then we'll crown the best overall one. So the brackets will be Legends, which will have some guys on here that we deem that should be on that, as well as adding the Cenas, the Triple H's, and all that stuff. We're going to go current roster, so we're going to go with the top 8 best current roster members, not including the part timers. If we want to put them on there, they'll be on the Legends aspects. Then we're going to go women wrestlers, and that one we actually decided because there are so few Hall of Fame women, it was hard to have them do their own bracket like this. But we are going to do is put them with the women now for a great fight because there are some great matches that we'll see, including Trish Stratus, Lita, and Beth Phoenix against the 4 horsewomen of what we've seen in WWE: Sasha Banks, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, and Bayley. A person that will not be on it, so don't ever ask me this question. Ronda Rousey can go fuck herself. She's not on the list.
Yeah, you're probably wondering, well, yeah, there's all these women, but most of them were back in the early stages, but they were mostly managers out there. That's mostly what they were. We want actually the women that actually wrestled, and Lita and Trish to me are definitely the more pioneers that helped break more of that barrier to lead up for Charlotte, Becky, Paige, AJ Lee, all these ones that even with the ones that are even coming up now, to do more than just be a pretty face out there.
Yeah. And then the last part will be tag teams, and again it's going to be tag teams. So 2 members and who have won the tag team titles. We can already tell you the teams on that one. It will be from the legend aspect. It will be Edge and Christian, the Hardy Boys, the Dudley Boys, New Age Outlaws. From the current roster, we are going to do the New Day. Yes, that one has 3 members, but it's they've always been formed as a team.
They switch it up though.
So
Gets it.
We are going to do the New Day. We're going to do the Usos. We are going to do the Street Profits, and I think the last team we are going to do is Sheamus and Cesaro, the Bar. They were always called the Bar, but they were always technically Sheamus. So great matchups there. Again, the women's, we kind of already had that roster set, except we just need to find the eighth member, and so that's a discussion we'll make. It's going to be either Nikki Bella, Natalia, AJ Lee, or Paige for that one. The men's roster, that's the guaranteed ones are going to be Roman and Seth.
You know what? You'll see when it comes out. You'll see when it comes out.
You never know when it comes out.
Yeah, I want to be a surprise. We could totally surprise you.
All right, thank you guys for tuning in. As always, like, subscribe, punch the notification bell. And let us know what you guys think, and let us know what you guys, if you guys have different opinions than we do on this. Let us know what other brackets you want us to do and other videos to do. I will be doing a movie review one very soon, probably after tomorrow, or maybe next week after I watch Shazam at the end of the week. So we'll go from there. And as always, we'll get everything else kind of going and get the ball rolling on that. Kelly, you got anything?
Nope. Enjoyed this. I will definitely try to do better in my arguments.
Come at me, bro.
Bring more than what.
Come at me, bro. Come at me, bro.
I mean, I might have to even bring their personal lives in too now. Fuck. Thank you guys all very much. Appreciate it as always. We enjoy doing this. So stay tuned. Like Ryan said, we have those coming as well. Movie reviews, trailers. Like we always say, we can move on as well. Gaming is kind of falling down our list a little bit because we got this other stuff we've got right now in the works, so we're trying to get those all done. But yeah, and I think we're ready to go and sign it off as we usually like to.
Yep, so hit it.
Kami and Ahami, everybody. We're going to send you home to mommy. Thank you all very much.
Have a good night.